Okay, let's get started, right? Okay, so we will have this 15 sessions. So throughout the 15 sessions, we will be going to talk about software quality assurance as a whole. So the first session, so today's I'm going to look at the fundamentals of the quality assurance, right? So before I move to session, so one quick thing I would like to tell. So I would like to question anything you have. So while doing the session, so don't need to wait until the session is completed or at the end. Or so if you have any clarifications, anything you need to clarify or anything you would like to challenge, even what I am saying, you can quickly ask your questions. Right? There's no don't worry to no, it's nothing to hesitate for asking any questions because there's nothing called right or wrong questions, right? So because of that, feel free to ask questions. So even I know, so since based on my experience, what the stress level, so we are very reluctant to ask questions as a nation. So we are very reluctant to ask questions. But don't worry, don't get annoying of asking questions. So if you have anything to clarify, please ask. So even you can use chat, or either you can unmute your mic and voice it out. So whatever the way. So please ask the questions, and I also coming to you and probably ask the questions as well, right? So I would like to make it interactive, and don't worry to provide any answers. There's nothing wrong, right? Answers, anything like that. So any answer would be valid based on the context. So because of that, don't worry to ask questions, right? And don't worry to provide any answers. So okay, great. Okay, so let's start up the session then. Okay, basically, before I start the session, so I would like to have few thoughts from yourselves. Have you experienced any software defects or software bugs in your real life? I'm pretty sure you are using many softwares. I'm sure you all have mobile phones and smartphones and laptops or desktops. So, and I'm pretty sure you are using many softwares, right? So till now, so all the softwares or the applications that you use in your mobile or your laptop or wherever you go, have you experienced any major defects that really impact you in your work or your expectations? Any defects, any bugs? So you can share your thoughts, right? If you have experience, you can tell it either chat or you can unmute your mic and you can share your thoughts, right? So no, don't hesitate to share or reply back. Okay, since I'm not getting hearing anything, okay. So in real life, we face many defects, right? Uh, so uh, so if I let me explain few. So there are many, but I will explain few at this point. So if you looked at so okay, so I'll give a very old experience that we had as a Sri Lankan sometimes back. Okay, I'm pretty sure you all use ATM machines, right? I'm pretty sure you all have ATM cards with your credit or debit cards, and you are using the ATMs to do the transactions or get the money out from bank account or anything like that. Right? So I'm pretty sure you all have, right? So ATMs are very frequently used systems. I think everywhere everybody has the ATM card right now, and ATM machines. If you look at these machines, those are very most of the machines right now is kind of AI enabled, and a lot of intelligence is contained, and they can handle the scenarios very sophisticated manner. But if you looked at it's very beginning. So when these ATMs are set it up in Sri Lanka, I think initial set it up has done some in 89, 90s period. So I don't know whether she was born or not in even that period. So even I'm a small kid at that time. So that's the time the ATM has been start setting up in Sri Lanka. Hopefully it's early 90s. So if you look at banking perspective, it's mainly Sampath and then HNB and BOC. Those are the banks. They started setting up releasing ATMs or debit card for their customers. And if you, I don't know whether you have seen those advertisements. So when these banks have set it up there, they started the ATMs and they set it up ATMs and releasing the debit cards with their clients. So they started marketing it. So obvious, right? So as a company, so banks, so if they are releasing new technology, so they have to do this kind of marketing to make sure that they will get uh, used to it for their clients, right? So because of that, they do a lot of marketings, and especially right now, the marketing goes on social media. But at that time, the TV commercials are the key. So, right, so they most of the banks they made a lot of TV commercials, and most I still can remember as a kid. So the most of the TV advertisements they focused on the solution they are going to provide. So ATM. So what's the solution they were thinking to provide? So as what's the problem they are trying to fix? Basically, before coming to ATM, so the people has to go to the bank with their passbook and need to be in a queue if you want to transfer money, or if you want to get money, borrow the money, or if you deposit the money, you have to be in a queue with your passbook and fill some slips. I know still we do some, and we have to fill some, and you have to get it done. And say, and another thing is you have to get it done within a working hours, even not the working hours. It may be very limited working hours, maybe 9 to 1. Now we know which banks are open up to 3, but those days these banks operate only 1 p.m. or 1:30 p.m. So think about that 9 to 1:30 or 1 p.m. operations are happening, and you need to go within that period and physically and go there to do any transaction. Rest of entire time is not available for any banking activities. So that's how it happened, right? So because of that, they were trying to resolve that problem. So people can borrow the money, transfer the money, or deposit the money. Initially, it was not deposit was the amount, but at least borrow the money outside the bank time. So that's a problem they are going to resolve, like the 18th. So because of that, the advertisement obviously focus on that. So the advertisement has mentioned most of the, I can still remember some more advertisement they mentioned if you're in a rush, if you need, if you're in a hurry to get some money out from your bank account, but it's maybe midnight, or maybe you are working on a very tough schedule, you have a very small time, but it may be outside the working time, maybe you are in a midnight and or early morning or something like that, so you don't have any options to get the money out. But because of these ATMs, so you are in your rush, you have very limited time, or if you are running out of time, or if you are working in a night shift or something like that, you can quickly go to the ATM machine, go to the bank and provide you so insert your ATM and ATM card, be a debit card, and get money out. So that's what they're trying to promote. So that's how people will get that idea as well. So if you're in a rush, or most of the case, the off hours, you can quickly go to ATM and quickly get your money out. So that's what they are trying to focus, and they're trying to resolve. So as a technology perspective, there's a solution they're trying to give. So what happened really is, so if you look at the ATM workflow, so they have the generic ATM workflow as we experience right now. So they implemented that workflow in their systems. So what are the key activities of the ATM workflow? Can someone tell what you, if you want to borrow money, what are the steps you need to follow? Can someone tell me that? So any steps that you need to follow? What's the first step? So you need to insert the card, right? You need to insert the card. So what is the next step? This will be first step, definitely. So what you need to do the next? You have to enter the pin, right? So you have to enter the pin. Okay. So what's the next step? So you have to mention the activity, right? So what is activity? So borrowing money, right? Something like that. Okay. So what's the next activity? So you have to mention the amount, right? So you have to tell the amount. So what's the next thing? So once you, so I'm looking at very high level activities, right? There will be very sub activities right now. So once you mention the amount, the ATM will release the money, right? ATM will give us money, right? So what's the next activity? So it will ask whether is it all or something like that. Then if you say yes, ATM card bank, right? These are the very straightforward steps, the ATM workflow, how ATM is going to work, right? That's the software they have built it up those days as well. So when these systems are set it up in Sri Lanka in somewhere in the early 90s, do you know what happened? Have anyone know this scenario? This is a very common, very known scenario. Have you heard about it? No. Okay. So what happened was, so the people, so because they promote, the lot of advertisements were there. They promote. There's a rush. Even off hours, it's midnight. You can get money out, right? So that's the mindset we all had during that time. So what people start doing. So if they are in a rush and they need to get money out very quickly, um, so what they has to get. So give me 1 second. So I will come. Sorry about it. There's small disturbance. So what happened was because of the rush and their uh, thought process, they have been promoted. So people went to the ATMs and this when go to the ATM probably after hours or midnight or something like that. So they are in a kind of rush. So they insert the card, right? So they insert the card, then they enter the PIN, right? So they enter the pin. So then they mention the activity. So think you want to borrow the 1,000 rupees from the bank. So as soon as you mention it, the ATM release the money and you get the money out. So the user perspective. So if we are the user, if I am the user, so my workflow is completed. Why? Because I am in a rush. I need to get money out. So I quickly go to the ATM in the night and enter the card, enter the PIN, and mention what I need to do, and I get the money. As soon as I get the money, my workflow is completed. So what happened was people get the money, put it into their pocket, and they vanish because their objective is achieved. But one thing they missed most of the time, they missed to get the ATM card back. You, I think you might do it even now, right? So, but what happened was those days, those ATMs are very primitive. Those are not intelligent enough to handle multiple ATM cards. So there's kind of scenarios. So as soon as people forget to get the card out, machines start getting stuck. So what happened was everywhere, every ATM in the night, people go there and get the money and they are forgetting the cards, and afterwards ATMs are not working until next day morning. Bank people come to work and clean up the ATM and get the stuck card out. So they have to open the ATM and get the card out. But still that the entire ATMs are not working. So that means as soon as person get the money off of us, machines are going to get stuck everywhere in Sri Lanka. This is common scenario for all the banks. So what is it? Why this is happened? Okay, so it's actually a software defect. So that's one of some key software defect we face as a country. Many banks hit this, and because of that, they hit their businesses because the people are reluctant to use the ATMs because most we are reluctant to go for the ATMs because even if you go to a ATM, you will get to know ATM is stuck because the previous person has forget the card and hereafter ATM is not working. So when people feel frustrated because no point of going to a ATM because ATMs are not everywhere like today. So if there are limited ATMs. If you travel to a place ATM is available, you will get to know that the ATM is stuck. So people get pissed off, right? So people really worried about the bank and they will start. Now the bank is trying to implement a new technology and get some values out of it. But it ended up with frustrating the client customers and they are pissed off with the banks and they are calling and blasting the banks and managers can't handle the situation. The situation get worse, right? So why is that? It's a defect. It's a defect in the workflow. So how get the result out? So how get rid of all this? So what they have done is the software, the people who develop this software, so they have to inform and they have to correct this bug. So how they have corrected this? There is very simple fix they have given. So rather releasing money as a fifth step, they actually interchange the steps. I know still some of the banks use this old flow because they are not sure about client. Even now, even the even so I think, yeah, I see the correct answer. So this is the scenario, right? So then now even some of the banks still following, even though they have high tech ATM machines, they can handle the scenario. So it's still used because of this problem, right? So actually, the software developers has to interchange fifth and sixth workflows. Release money, so release ATM card first because the person who came to get the money, he still wait because his objective is not achieved. He didn't get the money out. So because of that, he has to wait until ATM gives the money. It gives the money at last. So that's how they get it fixed. This is a bug. Why I'm saying this is a bug? This application has not been tested against Sri Lankan culture or again country like Sri Lanka, right? So if you are going to release a software, so definitely you need to test, you need to do the your quality assurance part against the culture, against these scenarios, right? So that's a tricky thing, right? So that's a very tricky thing because if you are developing a software and you are thinking you can deploy everywhere in the world, it's never going to work. These machines are easily brought from UK and the software is developed for UK, but it didn't work for Sri Lanka. So it doesn't mean that the problem is the Sri Lankan people. It doesn't mean it means the software has not been validated against the people who are going to use. Right? So that's the problem. So that's the bug. That's one of key one. I think this is the one of very primitive, very key defect that Sri Lanka has hit very old days. So we can say this is the very first bug, software bug people feel it. Right? So this is one of one. So I think this is one good scenario to understand. So what is software defect? So this implies, right? So this implies software has to be tested. Software has to be scientifically tested, not just test. So that's the one of challenge. So if you are going to scientifically test, you need to identify all the scenarios you might come across. You can't just test your code or you can't just test as you see in the application because you don't know how it will end up with. Because of this defect, the bank has to invest more money. So initially they thought investing ATMs will resolve their fix the problem and they will get more benefit, but it's not the case because of this defect. They have to pay a lot, right? They have to pay a lot. So they get to get it fixed and could they recover their customers and situation, handle the scenarios. Even bank employees are really worried because they also thought of these ATMs are not going to work with their banks because every day have to clean up and reset and all these things has to be done. Right? So that's how it ended up with. Right. So I think some of the banks I don't want to tell the names, but some of the banks still use this flow, but some already revert back to the original flow. Right? Okay, so this is one good example. Okay, so similarly, do you know any other experience? Do you have any experience? So actually, I even never experienced. So this is something I heard about it. I learned about it, right? So, but there's another experience in my life. So that's a defect. The entire world has been impacted. Okay, so have you heard about bug? There's something called millennium bug. Anyone have heard about millennium bug? Anyone know what is millennium bug? So in year 2000, right? So I think this is a different scenario. So let's discuss a little bit. This is one nice scenario. Okay. Actually, I felt it. I really, because year 2000, I was at university and we really felt it. So, but nothing happened. But fortunately, nothing happened. But we were able to recover the scenario or were able to go through the scenario. So what is the millennium bug? So before, I think this is a very common scenario, right? So as a programmer, so if you have done the codings, you know this scenario. So when you are uh, setting up a date for your program as a parameter or as a variable, you set it up a date type of date format or date type or something like that, right? So the based on the language or based on the technology you are going to use, it may be different. But usually date has how many characters? So if I looked at before year 2000, you most of the time date was like this. How many characters? How many bytes? One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right? 8 digits. So date was 8 digits uh, parameter or variable or something like that. Right? So any language that was and any all the programs we used to have this 8 digits format and set it up. So all the banks, every software that we had in world has a 8 digit. So we didn't realize, we didn't feel any difficulty. But when it comes to the near 97, 98, 99, the people start realizing, so we very soon there will be a date like this. So there will be a date for a year 2000. So how to type this date for year 2000? So people start realizing. Then only that time people start 96, 95, 97, 98, 99. That's the period people start realizing how to get it, how to insert this. So there's only one way, right? So based on the date type, but based on our current programming, that those days it have to write like this. After 99, it will be like this. So what's supposed to happen then? So think you have a fixed deposit in your bank, right? You put it into a 99, right? January 1st. So it will get you will get your interest on 2 year 2000 January 1st. So how they the bank will calculate. So they will deduct date from this to this and based on the timing and they will very simple straightforward and you will multiply it by the interest and you will get the interest. But because of the year 2000, automatically date will increase like this. So if you're going to subtract these two dates, you will end up with getting minus 99. And it will be multiplied by interest rate, maybe 10%. So then minus 9990. So account will deduct by minus 99, right? So ideally, rather getting your interest, you're supposed to reduce your amount what you have. So that's supposed to happen by year 2000. Similarly, everywhere, every software, this is supposed to happen, and everybody feel very scared because if this happen, ideally world will collapse at that time. Right? So there won't be any world for even probably we will be not be alive in today. Right? It happened. So that's what's supposed to be happen. So people realize it this is not going to work. We need to quickly change this to a date time like this. It's actually 10 minutes. So everywhere, every program and every technology, every language, so they started changing. Luckily, they were able to get it fixed before year 2000, January 1st. If the initial estimation was entire world supposed to get collapsed, everybody will lose their lives if we are unable to get it fixed. That's a defect. That's the defect. Because we never realize there will be a scenario like this when we are implementing or when we are doing the programming at that those days. Right? So this is a defect. So find somehow we able to recover the scenario, somehow we able to get rid of it. Luckily, that's why we are here. That's why there's Earth here right now, right? Unless we supposed to lose everybody's life, right? So we expected everything will get collapsed, even satellites up and running will get collapsed the Earth. That's the expectation. If we could not able to get it fixed, right? So every machine, every healthcare applications, everything supposed to get collapsed. But luckily, so nothing happened. So why nothing happened is we able to fix this. But the cost we have to pay for this still can't calculate it. It has not been calculated yet, right? So that the cost is extremely high. So that's another defect. So these are software defects. Okay. So we can imagine, right? So because of the software defects, so people might lose even lives or entire world might collapse, right? So because of that, we need to be very careful on software defects. So we know about the corona, right? So corona we impacted everybody, right? COVID has a large impact, but we able to get recover. But the software defects, if there are some sort of, is more crucial than a COVID. Right? So it's not like COVID. You can at least get rid of it within years. But if you realize a defect in life, real world, definitely you won't be able to recover. So that's very dangerous. Software defects might kill the entire world. So because of that, we need to be very careful of going live with software defects. So how to overcome that? So now next challenge is how to overcome. So so I think I'm pretty sure you realize the impact of software defects. So we need to make sure we are not going to go through with the defects like this in our real life. So how we can make sure? So there's only one way. You have to test your software or your code or your application before you release to the clients or customers or before you go live. That's very essential requirement. There's no other way. You have to test it. Okay. So I will give I will give you examples even, right? Um, uh, one example is I'll give one example in my domain, right? So right now I'm working on capital market domain. So you might know about what is capital market, right? So capital market means the stock exchanges, right? Basically, stock exchanges are the places where world economy is controlled today, right? So whether we like or no, regardless of the philosophy we are going to believe, so capitalism is the economic model right now we have, whether we like or not, right? So we have to live with it, right? So until get it changed to something else, right? Still that we have to use it, go with it, right? So the in this capitalism, so the exchanges are the places, stock markets are the places where world economy is going to control. So what are these stock markets? So think if you want to buy, basically stock market is all the organization like in the world they have divided this their organization value into a small stocks and they will sell in this organization in stock exchange and people can buy these organization stocks, and that's a one way of operating the stock exchange. In addition to that, there are many other exchanges. Think how we are buying fuels, how we are getting fuels to Sri Lanka. So the people who are bringing the fuels to Sri Lanka, so probably we might not go there, but people who are bringing agents or people, businessmen who bring in the oil, they have to go to the stock exchanges in either Singapore somewhere, and they have to buy crude oils or fuels. So exchanges are the places where we can buy these fuels, and these people will bring it to here after that. Or if you want to buy gold, right? We know we have gold in especially in the city streets. There are many people bring the golds and sell it. But if you want to bring the gold to a country, you have to go to exchanges. There are gold exchanges in especially in South Africa and some other countries. So you have to go there and you have to get the gold. Right. Similarly, if you want to, so if usual commodities. So think with dal. I think dal is one of common commodity we use every day. Our life, every rice pack will have a dal, right? So from where we are bringing dals? Most of the cases, it's from India, right? So we can't just go and bring dal. So our businessman has to go India, and there are commodity exchanges in Toothukudi or Bombay or some other places. So there are stock exchanges, commodity stock exchanges. They have to go those places and buy dal from the exchanges. Based on the request amount, the dal price will go up or down, right? That's what will happen. So, we in the vegetable perspective, we have this kind of exchange. It's not a officially run exchange, but Dambulla, we have a place like that. So you have to go there and buy. The people will buy the vegetables. Similarly, if you want to buy these commodities from India or Pakistan or any other country, you have to go to stock exchange and you buy them. Those stock exchanges remain managed by softwares. Right? All these transactions will handled by uh, softwares, and those softwares has to be developed by some of the developers or development companies or organizations, right? So someone has to develop, and after that someone has to test. So if you Google it, right? If you Google it, what are the world largest stock exchanges? If you can try it even now, right? So you can Google it and see what are the largest stock exchanges. What are the largest? So I'm pretty sure you will get New York Stock Exchange as the largest stock exchange, and next Nasdaq. Probably third one is either Shanghai or Japan Stock Exchange, and then there are a set of exchanges they are changing, but most of the Shanghai, Singapore, London, and those Hong Kong, and those are the next set of exchanges, main exchanges, right? So think so basically a New York exchange will do a millions of transactions for a second. What are those transactions? Those transactions actually making sure the world Fortune 500 companies are running perfect, right? So these are the people. If you looked at this overall organization, the economic organization, so there will be certain organization we call Fortune 500. Some there will be Fortune 100 companies as well. So if you looked at Fortune 500 companies, those people like uh, so Apple or either Microsoft or Facebook or those are the IT companies, but still there will be other companies, oil companies and few other companies. So those Walmart and all these companies. So these are the Fortune 500 companies and mainly operate based out of US or maybe China. Right now, some of the organizations running in China as well. So those are the people, those are the organizations who manage the world economy right now. So their shares will be sold in these exchanges, basically New York, right? So New York Stock Exchange is developed by someone, and actually I was part of certifying this product, right? Testing this product in my life. So think. So my team, while testing this application, my team, because of our laggings or lack of understanding or lack of our or laziness or some reasons, we missed some of the scenarios. We could not able to test all the scenarios that's ideally need to be tested. We forget, or we missed something. And because of that, we couldn't find a bug that actually existing out of one of these scenarios. Right? And it's we certified, we said it's perfect application, it can be go live with that application, and it's deployed in New York station. But while they are doing this transactions, while they are doing this businesses daytime, it get crash. The defect has been appeared all of a sudden. The defect what we missed, system got crash. So what will happen? What do you think? What will happen? So obviously they have to either fix it immediately, because system will one system get crashed, they can't do the transaction. They can't go do it manually, right? Millions of transactions can't be handled by manually, right? By using ledger books or something like that. That is cannot be done. So obviously they have to get it fixed. So think it is going to. So within they have to contact their development company, get the fix, and contact the testing company and get it tested. So it's a long process. It takes few weeks, definitely, right? Else they might have to go back to old release they had. So won't be easy, right? At least it take a one day. So set it up and some other application server and make sure it's running, make sure it's the current data is running, all the old software. We don't know even that. So think it's perfect, it's working, right? But it takes some days, at least few days. So the business will not happen few days. So what will happen? So if New York structure system crash and if they have to stop the businesses for these Fortune 500 companies for a few days, what will happen? So they are the people who are controlling world economy, right? We know what happened to us as a country. We bankrupt and we didn't have fuel and we are in a queue and we didn't know what what will happen to us and what point, right? So if this happened to world countries, the system got crashed, no businesses are happening, millions of transactions supposed to happen within a minute, within a second. Now it's not going to happen. The world economy will get start collapsing, right? So that's what will happen. But people can argue, okay, but this is only for New York. So we have Nasdaq, London, Tokyo, Shanghai, all these people are operating. So okay. Okay. So we'll assume those other people are operating fine. So then what will might happen? So these organizations, these companies, these Fortune 500 companies, they will not look at New York hereafter, right? They have to do their businesses. They can't wait another few days. They will immediately transfer their businesses for other exchanges, right? Billions of transactions that is happen on Nasdaq, New York probably will move to the Nasdaq. What might get happen? All of a sudden, New York, as a Nasdaq also might be running the another set of millions of transactions. On top of that, they might get another 1 million transactions. Do you know what is? I will give one very strong example. Do you know what happened in the days the private bus people are doing strikes? Have you? I know they didn't do it recently but I can remember the days they did, right? What will happen? We have so then the CTB will operate full scale in that day. So they will put all the buses they have to the roads. Okay, morning we can see it's the school time, office time. People will use these buses fully jam packed, and even footboard and everywhere people are getting and they are moving to the offices and those. But in midday, we can see majority of these buses they never run with that capacity. Get stuck, get shut down, get collapse, and we can see in the roads those buses are not operating further because they are broke down, right? So in the evening, we can see we don't have even CTV buses because now private buses are got strike and the CTV buses start working full scale. But unfortunately, they can't manage that kind of load. They get collapsed. The same will happen to softwares, right? Nothing will happen beyond that. So if Nasdaq got to another 1 million transaction, all of a sudden Nasdaq will collapse. Right? So software definitely will get collapsed. So then Nasdaq and New York, all 2 millions of transactions come into in London, Tokyo, Shanghai, all other countries. Obviously, those softwares will get collapsed within next few hours, right? So what will happen? Within few hours, entire world economy will get collapsed, right? So then what will happen? So if world economies get collapsed, we will the set of people will not get dull, we will not get fuel, we will not get anything, right? We will the first set of people losing everything, right? So, but similarly, the rest of entire world will not get anything, and they will not functioning, and they will get collapsed. Probably, we will start losing our lives. I'm pretty sure within 24 hours, world will get died, right? So that's might happen. Why that can be happen? Because I initially said my team tested New York Stock Exchange. They forget some scenarios because of their lagging. They missed some defects, but it went live. Finally, it appeared in real scenario and it crashed. But the end result is world is failed. Everybody died. Right? So that's how it's going to be ended up. Right. So that's why software testing has become very essential, very scientific thing. If we are unable to done so we know about the defects, right? Impact of defects. But because of that, how to avoid these defects, you have to do the testing. We have to do the quality assurance. There's no other way. But if we haven't done that quality assurance part or software testing part perfect, you are making entire world kill, right? You will going to kill the world, right? So basically, software tester very can easily can kill entire world. Right? So similarly, they can cure the world as well. So we know that in based on the context I mentioned, right? So if we know, if you looked at the doctor, so they treat a one person at a time and they will cure one person. But if software tests are unable to find the defects, they might kill the entire world. So and same time, if they find the defects, they will cure entire world as well. So even the job right now with software tester versus doctor, software tester or software quality tester is more crucial, more critical. So their impact is to the world is really high today. If doctor defect, that is disease, one person get killed, but software tester, software quality engineer miss a defect, he will going to kill it ever. So imagine, right? So that's why software testing is becoming a very crucial thing, right? So that's a very basic introduction I want to give it to you because uh, unless so I will not give the correct impression. I want to give this impression to you, right? So let's quickly move to the our slide deck as well. Okay. So so testing. So if you looked at software testing, so there are these are not actually definitions. I extracted from some of the sites, right? So some people get software testing, some people's thoughts, right? I can't say it's a definition. Software testing is related of learning, something. Some people say like that. And some people, I think this is one very good one. I feel probably we need to look at. So there's it's not a definition again, a phrase. Software testing is exploring software with intent of finding bugs, right? So basically, it's explorer software, the intent of finding bugs. So and same time he mentioned software testing is empirical technical investigation. It's a kind of empirical investigation. Basically, like you are reading a book or reading your software, reading application, kind of investigation, technical investigation, not just reading. You understand and you get the entire context of this and uh, provide all the information about the software quality to the uh, all the stakeholders. So basically, share kind of technical investigation and conduct against a software application and find out all the information related to this application, software quality applications, and share with the stakeholders. This is the level of application right now I'm testing. So this is, I feel something that's what actually doing in the industry right now. So I actually do the technical investigations. So not just looking at UI or anything. We are doing a very ground level, high tech investigation and looked at all the information extracted from the application quality and share with everyone to decide whether we are going with this or we are going to fix and resolve these issues and go with life, something like that. So so I think I just discussed why software testing is very important, right? I think that's so. These are few examples. I think I didn't discuss these examples, but again, if you look at so Ariane 5 is something we happened in 1996. This rocket is destroyed because of the software defect. So TRAC 25 is another one, radiation therapy machine. They has a problem with the software. Ended up with people, sorry, six people impacted and three people died. The Night Capital Group is actually a casino organization, right? So they lost 440 million because of their software has a bug, right? So they failed their casino business, right? So they ended up with a bankrupt finally. So wow, so this is a very good one. So this is video assistant referee system, right? So even right now we have the video assistant referee for the even cricket, right? So that's all this we know how LBW is given right now, right? So that's again a software, right? So that's the algorithm based on the algorithm we develop, right? So we think this algorithm is something wrong and it's giving a wrong LBW. So what will happen? So I think that actually happened. So audio, so actually video assistant referee system that used for the football in the Netherlands in 2010, they have a problems. So it's not though the reference the referees they have given, they are not actually valid. So it's ended up with collapsing entire tournament. So I think if this happened to the world cricket tournaments, that is going to happen. So if wrong LBW is given based on the algorithm error, I think it's end of this. I think how much of millions spending by organizations on these events and all this stuff. Even that will ended up with that. So this is one few examples. Okay, I actually found a very newest information. So I thought of sharing this, right? Okay, this is a very interesting one. So recently, scientists are being identified. So right now we know to rotate. Our world Earth rotate its own axis, and it take 24 hours. That's we call day, right? This Earth will rotate our own axis, and to take 24 hours. That's what we know, right? But somehow scientists figure it out now because of various impacts in happening in the world right now. The rotating time has reduced. It's actually 1 second reduce. So 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 basically they actually it's 1 minute and 59 seconds. Sorry. So this is they have find out. So now we have to correct this. So scientists figure it out this. There that means we have a leap, right? So now we have a leap of our day. So this has to be corrected in 1 day. So what will happen? So think to so finally people will decide that the people who govern this world or somebody probably the authorities will decide it everywhere. We are going to change our clock. So we are going to reduce this by today midnight. We are going to reduce this amount. So if you change your clock, so right now all the applications in this world sync to the internet clocks. So we have two or three internet clocks through the world. Whatever the application. So if you looked at your Microsoft OS or other Linux or whatever the Ubuntu OS, so it's linked to the internet via the internet. It's linked to a clock. So from that clock, internet clock, you are getting the time. So entire world is synced up. So there's no different times in different countries. Everybody synced up. So that's how control right now time. So we have to change now, right? So what will happen to our applications? So by midnight to if we change it, there will be another midnight 12 within a 1 minute and 50 seconds. Will our applications work or not? I don't know. I'm not sure. As an experienced person in the industry, even I'm not sure whether it work any of these application work or not. So that's a scenario. So even we haven't never think. So with this kind of scenario. So if this applications are not going to work, that means some fundamental failures of software testers or software quality engineers who have done the testing for this till now. So this is a scenario, right? So this is a very good one. We can think about it, right? But ideally we could not able to have this such scenario. So that's one another explanation we can think about how software is crucial, right? Okay. So I think I don't think we can do it. That's why I ask questions from you as well. So probably if we are doing physical sessions, we'll try to do these kind of case studies within your team. With your students. So basically, I just want to know identify some critical bugs that you feel and discuss about the impact. So that's why I took some time and explain it. Right. So there's another one. I think I just realized another bug. I think I feel better to tell to understand, right? So I think if you are going to build a internet banking application, right? So think it's one of Sri Lankan bank. You are going to build an internet banking application. But this application will run access people in various location and do the various transactions. Think so the person who's accessing one of internet bank application, he's accessing from his account is located in Sri Lanka, right? He might access he might travel into a United States, you might travel into the Europe, maybe France, we'll take it France. So because to his business trip, now he is in France, right? He's trying to access account from, from France, right? What he's trying to do is he's trying to transfer money to US client. So this is one of good scenario, right? Will happen in real world. He's located based in Sri Lanka. He's having account in Sri Lankan bank. He's traveling a business trip to France, and during that business trip, he's trying to do some money transfer to the one of US client. Okay. Will that scenario work? What do you think? Ideally, it should work. We bank can't come and tell, no, you can't access from the account from France. You can transfer the money to US client or something like that. Ideally, it should happen. It should work. Ideally, it should test it before go live the application. But there's a scenario I will explain here. In SL, we use uh, currency. So I will think we are going to use USD transaction. So he's going to transact USD 10,000. In Sri Lanka, USD 10,000, we will write like that. This is how English will write it, right? Not the single will write it, right? English, it will write like this. USD 10,000 will write like this. So if you enter, but this is English, in English language. In application, there's something called local. Local is the location plus language. Any operating system or any application has this concept. Lo, locally means location plus language. So if it is US, you might see this US underscore EN, UK underscore EN, LK underscore single. So this kind of, so this is location. This is location you are going to access. This is language you are going to use. This is location. So okay, if it is French, so if it is France underscore French, France is the location. Language is French, right? So if you don't have access, you don't have your mobile phone working, so you are accessing it from one of kiosk machine available in France, the hotel he's stay, right? So what will happen? In France, they will use the France language, right? Not the English. In the English, we know, as I mentioned, this is how it will be right? In France, so in English, in France and French, this will write like this. So in France, the comma is not a separator, dot is the separator, comma is the decimal. So how it will ended up with? So so when we are typing 10,000, it will type like this. Right? So think the bank account is in Sri Lanka. If Sri Lanka is identified as this 10 rupees, disaster, right? You will transferring a $10. Same thing might happen other way around. If you want to transfer 10 rupees and it will be transfer something else. right? So that might happen. So that's what we call localization and internalization. But this is a concept. So there's a concept called internalization, or we call globalization. Internalization application has to be tested for the internalization. Any country should work like this. And localization is it need to correctly translate to the local language or local country. So it need to correctly transfer to the local account. If we are not application is not doing that, you will end up with ruining your entire business. Right? So this is another concept. So if you haven't tested like localization and utilization, you can go live any of application. Right? So that's why the testing is extremely complex scenario. It's not like this, right? So it's like very straightforward, right? So that's why I want to tell. So software testing is a mission critical engagement. If you ruin it, you will killing this within a second. So how we can kill is by introducing bugs to the real world, right? So because of that, you can't blame it. The developer has not done that thing or anything like that. So we have to test it. We have to certify it. We need to make sure defect-free application is going to a production or live or real world that not going to impact human okay as well. So that because of that, so there's a subject. That's the reason. There's a subject called qualification. Right? It's a science. So it's a scientific module. So you have to use the science to do this testing. Unless if you don't know science about it, you will ended up with collapse in this world. So that's why it became a science right now. This quality assurance is a science, and same time it's an engineering process. So that's why right now we talk about the not the quality assurance. Right now we talk about the quality engineering. Right? The latest subject is a quality engineering. We are not even so initially started from the testing. So testing is just validating at the application and identify the defects, but it has evolved and it has become a scientific subject. It's quality assurance. That's why it has been introduced to the universities like this, and no longer it's not just something small item. But now the today's world, so we call quality engineering. So it became an engineering process. No longer it's not only science; it's an engineering process. So it has to be a very crucially think about it. So that's why organization like us, right? So we I test so the organization I work. So they do only testing. So that's why they able to uh, do the software testing, uh, and they have to build the organization only to do the software testing. So to earn the billions of dollars per month, right? So that's that. So that's the basic overview I want to give it. So why software qualification is crucial, why it is important, why it's become a subject in universities, and why you need to learn it. And it's a profession, and it sometimes now, that is sometimes back, it little bit very low level profession, but right now it becoming a profession, uh, tougher than the development. Software development like is little bit easy now. The software qualification become a more tough. More we need more intelligent people, more analytical people, more people who know the codings than even developers, because testing has become a very complex thing. Probably we'll look at with next couple of sessions how why I'm saying it's very complex and very tough one. So probably you will experience it. So it's becoming a very challenging with this AI. So right now we have to start. We have to. There are the applications. What we are in front of us, right, is AI applications, not anything else. Machine learning applications. To test AI and machine learning applications right now, there are many challenges. Even we can't even think about it, but we have to get rid of it and we have to test it, and we have to go live with this AI ML applications. So that's become a very one of tough and very highly intelligent activity. So right now even software testers or software quality engineers who do these kind of testing, and then developers. Tell you honest, my organization, software engineers, software quality assurance people, and then the developers. So why? Because they are more talented, more technical, more analytical, and more intelligent than rest of all, right? Because if they lose something, it ended up with collapsing as well. So that's how they became a very highly paid. It's becoming. I can't say it's becoming a highly paid. carry as well. So probably you can think about it in your future. Okay. Um, okay, I think that's one. I think I will, there's a few, one thing I need to show. Will show that it later. Um, okay, so any questions still now? So few areas I think I need to go through with you all very quickly. So before that, eh, as introductory sessions, any questions, anything you want to clarify, or are you all agreeing? Or if you're not agreeing, you can challenge me. It doesn't matter. I'm not seeing any questions, and since I'm not seeing your faces as well, I'm not sure that you are getting or you are listening anything. But the recorded video I will be shared, and probably you can listen that as well. But probably when we start the physical sessions, we'll do a lot of face-to-face discussions and make use of it as well. Since I'm coming and doing this session with you all, so basically coming to a university and doing a session, I don't think it's financially worth for me, or even time wise, it's worth for me. But I feel we need to support universities and do this effort. Right? So that's why we sacrifice a lot of time to do this. Right? So and I'm supporting for the through all the universities in Sri Lanka right now. So get use of it. So get the value of it out of it. Right. So that's in your side. Right? If you can get that value, one of in person coming from the industry who has this experience last 22 years and with the clients like this kind of global Fortune clients, right? Global Fortune 500 clients. So you can get that experience from me. Right? So because of that, ask the questions, challenge what I'm saying, clarify from me, anything would you like? Right? Okay, so so we don't have any questions. We'll quickly move on to the next part. So I think this is something generic one, right? So, but I want to quickly recap few areas. That's why I'm take this area as well. I'm pretty sure you know already software development. You might have learned about software engineering as a subject already, right? So you know all the basically software, what is software development is. But very quickly, if I'm going to recap with you all, so software developer, if it is already done, this part is okay. If we haven't done, then you can learn it further in the next sessions in your other modules. So basically, we have two different type of software developer models. One is sequential and incremental. We'll look at those models basically. So this is just one of key software development model, waterfall, right? So many organization is right now it's not going to use. Waterfall is kind of a dead model, but we have to learn it because this is the very first software development model, right? Uh, uh, People use sometimes back. So I tell you honest, if I joined the design 2003, so waterfall is not the model they even use. They have given up even that time, right? So this is a very old model, but we need to learn, right? So the problem with this model is the reason to given up is so testing has introduced at this is a phase by phase approach and last phase. So think if you find out a defect on the requirement when you are doing the testing, what will happen? You have to fix that defect in the requirement. Once you fix that defect, the requirement will get changed. So then you need to do the analysis, you need to design, you need to, I think one step is missing, you need to do the coding as well. So then again, you need to get the product to testing. So that means you have to go all over the game iteratively. So that means if you find out any defects in requirement, you have to redo everything. The cost for redoing is immense, right? So you can't manage, you can't afford it. So because of that, this model has given up. None of industries using I don't know. There might have organizations they might use it, but theoretically nobody is using. Right? Ideally, nobody should use. Right? But I know when it comes to the university exercises, so things you might learn it and you might use it even. So real world, but in industry is no longer available, right? To overcome that, so industry has introduced a new model that we call V. Some people say V, some people say double V, some people say W. So whatever W, W, or V, that's the same. So that they fix this initial problem. So how they fix is every phase they introduce a testing phase. Business requirement they introduce acceptance testing. System requirement is system testing. Design they have integration. Low level design is component, and coding they use unit testing. Each phase there will be a testing phase as well. So then now it's resolved, right? So previous problem is you do the testing at last and you have to come to requirement and then fix it. So you have to redo everything because now it's not happening. As soon as we have done the requirement, it will be validated. That's good. But again, so this is the model. So tell you honest, when I'm joining the Virtusa, this is the model they use right in 2003 as a software developer model. Right? So, but even this is problematic. Why? Because it's because of this, there are a lot of testing. The effort you have to put on testing is really high. Everywhere, everything you are going to test every time. Testing effort increase really high, and uh, it is not going to work. So because of that, people are not going to use it. Right. So alternative is iterative development. Rather doing this kind of a sequential development, people started iterative development. So iterative development means you will be divided your entire program to a very small chunk of work, deliver small works within a very short time of period. So with this iterative, the latest, okay, with this iterative, you might know the latest. What's the latest software development methodology? Someone, if anyone know, you can share it. You can chat or you can tell it. Do you know about the latest model? Yes, agile, correct. Okay. So agile is the latest. So agile is something little different. So it's interactive. So it's basically iterative development, but kind of iterative, but it's little tricky and little different. So concept behind agile is the kind of collaborative development. Entire team has to work very collaboratively and together and deliver the things. So because of that, and deliver small chunk of work. Basically, there are a few agile models like Scrum, Kanban, and Safe, and many others. But most of the agile frameworks are same. What they are doing is they divided the entire requirement into a user stories and very small user stories, and you are going to deliver small user stories, few user stories, maybe one user story within a small time of period, maybe 2 3 weeks time period, and with the multiple iterations. So that's what I get. But to do that, we have to have very collaborative teams. They shouldn't have hierarchies maintained. So everybody would have to work together to a common plan. Should be. And with this agile, there were other thing happen. So I will explain that as well. So one we call shift left. So that's the one concept that we introduced to the industry with this agile. We call shift left. Have you heard about the word shift left? That's even okay. That's shifting left side. So that's the trend in the world, not only agile, not only software. So as economies or as a policies, everything believe shifting you into a left side, you will get more benefits. So sometimes back we discuss about being in right side, but that's no longer discussed right now. Shifting left is more benefits. People realize it with the experience, right? So that's why everybody's think if you really need to get the things benefit out, you need to be left. So that's why even this Trump can't get the benefit from being far east, right? So he can't be, right? It will never go to success. Right? So that's the reason. So that's this concept has been applicable for software development as well. So how we can be shift our entire work to the left side. So that's a challenge. So right now we identified a model in Agile that support that concept. So if I explain it a little bit, it will be like this. So basically, So if you look at development cycles, right? This is requirement. So this is development. This is testing, right? This is how it will happen. So develop requirement will gather here. This is requirement. So I'm writing is not so good. This is code. This is test. Right? So this is how it will happen. So what with this agile, what we have introduced is when soon a requirement is done, software testers can start testing. How they can start testing? So soon a requirement is getting ready, they can start writing test cases. They can start automating test cases. When developers start in the work, testing will be ready. Previously, when developer finished testing started, but now when developers start in the development, test cases are ready, automation scripts are ready, it will be executed against the code. So what will happen? The first day, there won't be zero code, so testing will be ready. Zero will get passed. Second day, 10% will get passed. Third day, 20%. Similarly, when we come to the end, the 10th day, you will get what? 100 test cases and you will get passed, right? Similarly, when coding is completing, your application will get be tested and complete. So you will be shifting left, right? This entire testing part will be shift to the left side and your initial cutoff date is here. Now cutoff date is here. So shifting left. So that's a concept, right? So that's a concept we believe in agile. So by doing this, what we believe is we can shift left side with agile and get the more benefit. But to get the more benefit, we have to do the structural changes of this software development teams. So that's other requirement. So how to get the structural changes? So I will show that, right? So okay, so this is very quick one. So I am going to not deep dive this. Okay, so if you looked at so previously with this waterfall, with this V model and different models, we had many different teams. Basically, we had UI UX engineers, Java.NET engineers, DB engineers, middleware engineers, backend engineers, DevOps engineers, many people. Similarly, QA, we had the Q functional QA, automation engineer, DevOps engineer, non-functional testers, many roles. But with this agile, we have been pushed to merge all these roles to one single role. Two single roles. All the engineering work, software coding work, and either it's middleware, it's a front end, it's a UI, it's a back end, it's a DB, it's a DevOps, everything has merged and we call full stack engineer. That's the role what is available in Agile. Similarly, software testers, all these different software testing role has been merged to one we call SDET. SDET means software development engineering testing. So right now in Agile, we have only these two roles. Either you have to be a full stack engineer, either you have to be a state. And all these previous roles has been merged together. You should have all these competency in a one role. So that's a challenge. So if you want to be a proper, I know there are still these roles are available. I'm not saying it's going to die in right, but it's going to die, right? It's not dead. So right now we have in industry full stack OS states. If you can be a full stack engineer OS state, you can earn a lot of money. Initially the money was very small because they have a divided roles. But now with this merge role and merge capability, so but you have to improve your capability to get it there. So right now industry is looking for either full stack or estates. So think about it. Don't look at previous roles what we had. So get ready for take it either one of these roles if you're getting into industry, right? So that's a very one of essential. This model will run at least next 5 years. Right? So there are further improvements. So we will discuss little later. So there are uh, there are a lot of alarming scenarios right now with the AI. So probably we'll discuss how to avoid the scenarios as well. But now at the high level, these are the two roles industry is looking at, right? So that's why I want to quickly do that, right? Because give us some very quick intro. So we'll come back to the software testing side again, right? Okay. So I think I discussed two things right now. So software testing is why it is crucial and what type of roles are available for testers and developers, right? So now we know that testing is mandatory. We can't avoid it. So then we have to do it a scientific way. So how to do the scientific testing? So that's the problem. Yeah. So we'll little bit looked at high level to today, but we will deep dive it later, further later in next coming sessions. Okay. So in industry, so there are many testing types. If you Google it, I think that's the best way. Or either use the chat GTP and ask the provide the prompt and get the answer. What are the testing types? You will get it hundred of testing types. The problem is whether you can execute all these testing types together for application. Whether you will have enough time, whether you will have enough bandwidth, whether you have enough money to do that. That's a problem. So because of that, testing all the testing types available in this world is not feasible. Ideally, we need to do that, but it's not feasible. So then we have to limit our work based on the money, based on the time, based on the budget, based on the scenarios, based on the many factors. We have to limit our testing. But same time, we can't release bugs, application bugs. They are release bug free because we can't. If defects are identified in the production, we know right what's the impact we discussed initially. So because of that, this is one of challenging thing, right? Uh, so if you looked at testing types, so there are two key different testing types. So one is functional and one other one is non-functional. So functional testing means basically what we are going to test is what factor, what we are going to, what requirement is implemented, what type of features are available, what is the functionality of the application, what is the way it's going to behave. So all this what question coming into our mind will describe at the functional test. That's we call basically functionality. The non-functional is n- not the one. It's how well. So if you look, so okay, I will explain. Give a good example, right? So think. Since you are in a young age, right? So think one of your friend come and say, okay, uh, I got a affair with a nice boy or girl or something like that. Right? So how the friend will ask how is she or how is he? So you can explain it. She's told or he's told he's fat, he's thin, he's have curly hair, he's have tinted hair, or his face like this, he's like this. You can explain it, right? This is functionality. You are explaining appearance of him or her, right? Very easily you can do that. You can get impressed, right? So that's something we need to look at. I'm not saying don't look at it. Definitely you need to look at that part as well. But that describes limited functionality of it. Most essential thing what we are not knowing is to explain such a person is characteristics. How empathy is, how she's ethics he or he follows, how empathy he or he has, how um, talents he has, how much of brain he has, or is he a dumb person or he's an intelligent person, something like that. Those also essential, right? Though even you know the functionality is perfect, you might get ruined if you're not going to evaluate other factors. So, that's difficult, right? Similarly, software also have these two factors. Functional, it's very straightforward. By looking at requirement, you can get it. This application work like this, but there are hidden part of it, non-functional. How well this application work? How well this application work for millions of users? How well this application work in front of hackers? How well this application work for a multiple browsers, multiple mobile devices, different screen sizes, right? Many things, right? How well? So that how well part is very crucial. You can't judge it, right? As similarly, you can explain person by looking at the color and the other all the factors, where height and appearance and all this, but you can't explain how characteristics this person has. Similarly, it's difficult to explain this non-functional characteristics as this is difficult to test, but you will have to have these both testing, functional and non-functional, both essential, right? So both essential, right? So the functional testing is, so if you looked at unit testing, integration, small use experiment, localization, the testing type definition, all these are functionality of this application. By looking at requirement, you can clearly validate. But there are non-functional ones: performance, endurance, load, security, usability. Those are challenging, tough one, but you have to do this testing as well. In addition to that, there's another, the functional and non-functional. These are the two ones, right? So there's another one, change related testing. This is something little change different. So change related testing is, so once you've done the functional or non-functional testing, you will get defect fixes. Right? Once you get a defect fixes, you have to revalidate, retest your defect. So that means you are going to re-execute the test cases that got failed due to a defect and revalidate application. That's we call confirmation testing. And in addition to that defect, there will be impacted areas because that defect fix impacted two test cases and you retest it, but that defect impacted set of other modules. You have to test all these other modules. That means you have to re-execute all these impacted test cases. That we call regression. Revalidate entire impacted areas. So these different type of testing types also available. I'm not going to deep dive now, but basically we need to make sure we have functional and non-functional. Right? The functional and non-functional are the most essential testing types. You will have a large amount of testing types, but the problem is which testing type you are going to decide. That's the problem. How to identify? So I will give a one good example. Uh, I am pretty sure you might, right now we are not using this application. There's a fuel pass app, right? There was a fuel fast app. We used to pump fuel for our vehicles, right? Why this fuel fast app was the, given by the government? Because we didn't have enough fuels in the country in 2021, 2022, because of the we are bankrupt at that time, right? So because of that, we didn't have money. So we have limited fuel to brought into a country. So because of that, we have limited fuel to given to the people. So because they release a fuel pass app. But if you can remember this fuel pass app, as soon as they release, have you? I'm pretty sure you all use this, right? Though you were not at university at those days, I don't know whether you might already. I'm not sure. You either out of university, you might feel it because you also face, you might be in the queues, right? So you might use this application. But as anyone remember, as soon as this application is released to the people, there were many problems, many defects. People shouted, people blasting the government, and many problems arise. Can you remember at least few defects that we face? Okay, I will share my experience. Okay, so as soon as this release, so everybody start setting up or start using, because we don't have fuels to use vehicles. We are like in a kind of a mad situation. Everybody started you download them or you start using web, right, application. So very first thing is we have to register that to the system. To register the system, we have to give our vehicle number. Then once we enter the vehicle number, it will be validated against vehicle chassis number and engine number, whether the correct valid vehicle, to check valid vehicle. So how did they do validations? So The people who release this app, they don't have this information, right? They are, so the people like ICT involved in development, and it has released, developed for a, uh, so not RME, right? The RME has this information, vehicle numbers and engine number, chassis number, and those are sick. Those will not allow to you show to the public, right? So they have to contact RMB. The application has to contact RMB DB and get validate this data against this, right? So what happened was, because of the millions of people start using this app, and they are going to register all of a sudden, this app send request to a RME database, check the numbers what I have entered is correct or not. What happened was, because of the millions of people trying to contact a vast RME database, he can't produce the correct output, because RME database is not developed for this, right? It developed just to store the data. He never released this data outside people. Like none of people come and access this data. This kind of volume data access is never happened. Because of that, he never had that problem. So he only just registered a few, maybe 100 vehicles every day. But hereafter, nobody is accessing. It only get access whenever the user is transfer the ownership. Very few, right? Maybe 10, 20, 20, 30, 50 transfers happen for a day, right? Very small, light amount of access. So because of that, it's fine, right? The RME database, they don't have a sophisticated DB to manage this, right? But all of a sudden, there's a third-party app is coming and asking the data, millions of data, and he can't provide that data and that fast. It ended up with messing up all the information. Whenever I give my vehicle number, car number, I got someone else vehicle number, someone else chassis number. So it's a messed up. That's how it's ended up, right? So I get people are getting incorrect numbers, incorrect vehicle numbers. Everywhere it's get jammed. Some more people get resolved slowly and at one point, and because they fix their problems. Then the next problem is, at the registration we need to enter the OTP. So OTP, OTP provided by the telecom providers, right? So maybe the Dialog or maybe SLT or some people, right? So these telecom providers are getting millions of requests to provide the OTP, but OTP is not provided by correct time. Sometimes I try to register today, tomorrow I will get the OTP. So then next my session is expired, its OTP is no longer valid. So that's the other problem we face. The third problem is, so while people are registering, government get to know there are 5 million live vehicle users who do the fuel pumping every day. That data was not with the government. By doing this, releasing this application, they figured it out there. So 5 million users trying to register. So that means the DB has 5 million records, right? So next, the problem is every week 5 million users are pumping fuels. So DB is exponentially growing, right? First week registration 5 million, the zero. First zero is 5 million. Start with 5 million. The first week ended up with 10 million users in the DB. 10 million, not use 10 million records. The third week, second week, 10 million. Sorry, 15 million. Fourth week, 20 million. So it's exponentially start growing and system is not going to work. Right. So that's the problem. Right. So those are different problems we face at that time. Why these problems we face? It so by honestly, it has not been tested scientifically. If this application has been tested properly and scientifically, this kind of problems we never face. So if you looked at, so these problems arise because of it has not been. The challenge is how to find out these problems before releasing. How to find out what testing type you need to do to avoid this. So that's a challenge, right? For that, so there's a concept called risk management. Have you heard about this concept, risk management? So there's a concept called risk management. I will quickly explain. The risk management is this is a scientific concept. So if something you might have to think about your future and you need to plan for it. So if you looked at your future, if you feel risk this might go on wrong in future, that will be identified as a risk. So think right now you feel a risk. Okay, you have lectures on this time, but you realize you Friday you need to go early home. Maybe if we have to cut all the lectures, so that may be your decision. So you might have a risk of having attendance and getting eligible for the exam. So that's the risk you might feel. Some days I can come, some days I might not come, but I don't know whether I can maintain 60%, 80% or attend or something like that. So that's the risk you might feel it right now. So then once you feel that risk, you need to plan it, right? So the next thing is, so if someone feel this risk, then you need to have a mitigation plan. Right? Before coming to mitigation, you need to figure it out. What is the criticality? What's the exposure of this risk? So basically, exposure is measured by two criteria. One is critical, one is impact. Criticality is how critical. So how critical attendance. So if it is measured to sit the exam, the criticalness is very high. But if it is not measuring for exam, then critical is low, right? So you have to measure critical. So then impact. So if you could not able to come to lectures 80, maintain the attendance 80%, what's the impact? University will not allow to sit the exam. If that's the case, it's really impact your care because these are funded. If it is not an optional subject, if it is a mandatory subject, then you are in a disaster, right? You might not, if you are unable to maintain the attendance, university will not allow to do this exam, then you will automatically get failed and it will impact your degree. So impact is really high. But if it is optional, and even university will not worry about whether you attendance. So its impact is very light, right? Only thing is you will miss the content of the course. Probably you can get it from someone else, or you can learn yourself, and you can pass the exam, right? So criticality might be low. So similarly, you have to measure the criticality and impact. So we call risk exposure. So that is the second thing you need to immediately do. So once you identify this a critical one, then you should have a mitigation. What is mitigation? Okay, so then you know if somehow you need to go early some days. So then you have a mitigation. At least you need to plan stay the session for some days, or ask some friends to make a signature on behalf of you, or something like that. Right? You can do that. Right? So that's your mitigation. So think some reason mitigation also might not work. Then issue, so risk becoming an issue. So think the lecturer is counting the students 1 2 3 like this, and he is checking the number of attendance. Okay, then nobody can ready to put a signature on behalf of others, right? Because they will be caught. So there, then now it's an issue, right? So then you can't give a fake signatures. Then you have to maybe figure it out as that we call contingency. You should have a contingency plan. Then you have to go directly to talk to the lecturers. I can't come every day because I have to go early. I'm in Amparo or something like that. You have to come and tell. Right? So that may be your contingency. But you have to have these plans. First, you need to understand your risk. Then you need to identify your risk exposure and criticality, and then you need to identify the mitigation, and then you need to identify the contingency if risk appeared. So this is risk management. So this concept we can use for software testing as well. First thing you need to do is you need to identify the uh, risk. So if you looked at this risk, the fuel pass app, right? So if you looked at fuel pass app, so you can see, this fuel app. So definitely you need to know there will be 5 million users. So 5 million users going to concurrently access. So because of that, 5 million concurrent access might get a problem. We don't know. So then you have to identify the risk one, 5 million access. User access. This is a risk, right? So risk one. What's the risk two? OTP, getting OTP for 5 million from third party because it's not your application, third party vendor, right? So you don't have any control over it. Right? So next one, risk two, risk three. You need to validate vehicle numbers, right? Validate vehicle numbers with RMB DB. Make this is not your GB, right? There's someone else DB. You need to contact it. Risk four. Every week, 5 million users will be added to the DB. Every week, 5 million records. Codes to DB. These are risks. You don't know whether your DB is going to collapse or not with this much of database, the data, right? Records, right? So what is the other risk? Probably these people will start using all the mobile phones for desktop, different machines, right? Access from all the browsers available in this world, right? That disaster. What is that? 36. What is the other risk? Access from various devices. You can't control the people, right? You can't ask to access only from laptop or something like that, right? People will access from whatever the device they have, right? So all these are risks, right? You need to identify these risks. Once you identify risks, you can measure the criticality of these risks. What is the criticality? 5 million users definitely will come and access, right? You can't ask the people to don't come and access the application. Then you need to tell this application only will release for the Colombo district, rest of people is not allowed or something like that. Unless, so then you need to find out how many millions, 1 million in Colombo district. So then again you have to, there's a risk whether it's work for 1 million or not. So you need to, this critical is very high. So getting OTP is very high because without registering, you can't do this anything, right? And anyway, you have to validate the vehicle because unless people will put because people will put the wrong numbers and vehicle numbers and all this wrong information and registered and get the fuels from the same vehicle, right? So to unless then you might have to bring the more fuels than this. So that's initially happen, right? So it is very high. DB. So this is also very high because unless DB got stuck, people can't work. So working from all the browsers. So there is a place you can at least some control because you can tell don't access from Chrome. This is only work from Edge right now. At least you can tell it. Even people will scold, but you can tell it, right? Or you can say don't access from iOS or only for Android. Android only it's working for Samsung. You can tell it at least, right? So criticality is high, understood, but at least you can tell it. So we can say medium. Okay, so this is the risk. This is the criticality. How critical? So then mitigation. That is the most challenging part. How to mitigate? So you know this risk now. It's a high. You have to mitigate. So 5 million use access. What you need to do? You need to do a load testing for maybe you can start from 1 million to increase up to maybe 6 million वगैरह safe side. Something like that. You can, if you can do a load testing like this, you can at least mitigate, right? So then you know at least you can recover. So the next thing, OTP for third party. You have to do integration testing. You need to ask SLTO, Dialog, all these people to provide the interface for us to test this application. How much of load you can handle or not. Right? So you have to do integration. Integration plus load board testing. Right? With this integration, you have to do the load. Right? So you need to validate with the RME database, whether RME database handle this much of load, right? So again, you need to do the integration. Whether DB can have this much of volume, you need to do volume testing. So whether you can access from all the browsers, we call cross-browser testing. If you can do the cross-browser testing, at least for the major key browsers like Chrome, Edge, Safari or something like that, like that. So I'm not typing now. So this is you have to do the device compatibility testing. So by doing this exercise, you can identify what are the testing types you have to do. Right? Load testing, integration testing, and load testing, integration testing, volume, volume testing. So you can do this kind of testing. So by doing this exercise, you can list down what are the testing you have to do. Right? By doing this risk management activity, by identifying all the risks that might come across in future, and by listing down them and identifying the criticalness and mitigation plan, it gives the minimum number of testing types you have to perform for your test. And so that gives this is a one of way to identify testing. So we call this risk-based testing. This is a concept we use, risk-based testing. At least this risk-based testing concept has been used by ICT and these people who develop this world pass app. We will never come across this kind of defects. So this is a very common concept industry is used. There are many complex stuffs, but I am not going to them. This is a very common one. Risk-based testing. This is a concept. This risk-based testing is used a risk management concept. So by doing this concept, you can identify risk first, then criticality based, and then you can identify the mitigation as a testing type. By doing this exercise, you can identify what are the most impactful testing you need to do for your application before go live, right? So you can't do everything. At least you know you very minimum you have to do cover the high. At least medium you can do later or mid. So then you know you have covered at least the most important testing or not. Right? You identified whether you covered or not something else. At least you identified whether we need to do or not. So this is a concept, right? So this is concept what we use for testing. So identify the minimum testing types, right? So I think that's what I want to explain. Right? So there was a small activity we are not doing it group wise. So I will share with you all. I will send it to you all as well. Try yourselves in home. We'll discuss before next session, right? So quickly we'll discuss this. I will share this, right? So by basically this is a taxi booking app. So we know we have Pick Me, Uber, taxi booking app, right? So what time my request is go through this app. Probably it will be available in your mobile. Go through this app, identify using the risk-based approach, identify 5 risks where this application, if you have been asked to develop this application, think you are the pick me developer and you have been developing this application. So if I have been asked to test this application before release, At least what are the five risks that you foresee as a risk and how we are going to mitigate by doing the testing. So that's the exercise, right? So do we try come with your on your thoughts and identify and come with the your answers as well. Probably we'll discuss next week. Okay. Any questions? I think that's all what I have to cover for today's session. So any questions? Anything? Yeah, there's a question. Sorry, I didn't notice. There's the fifth risk. Can we do the responsive testing to ensure? Yes, the one cross device compatibility testing is what we are going to actually validate is responsiveness. Correct, responsiveness of the mobile app, whether application is work for the various device sizes, various OSs, various platforms. So that is what we call device compatibility testing. Responsiveness testing is the what we has to test. Basically, responsiveness of the mobile application. It's okay. So it's the same name. Some people say responsiveness testing, some people did. But in theory, in logically, we say device compatibility testing. But it's okay to say responsive testing, responsiveness testing, not responsive testing. Okay. Any more questions? I think this is a good one. That is nice to see such questions. Right? That really gives me, more about things on the development side, right? So that's good. Think about bit on this scenario and home and come up with your own uh, thoughts. We'll discuss, right? Hopefully, if we can do a physical session, probably we can have interactive one. But unless we'll do same way. Any more questions? Anything? No? Okay. So there's a small quiz. Okay, I will share this link as well with you in the LMS, but you can scan the QR code as well. So answer this quiz. This quiz actually we are going to make. I'm going to try whether you understood what we have discussed today. Okay? There are 10 questions, so you can answer these questions. This is just to understand, not to evaluate, just to understand the level of uh, understanding you had got during the session. So probably not every week, but I will try to share a few quiz for at least main session. So you can scan the QR code and do it, but do it right. So we will discuss this as well before next session. So make sure you come and complete and come. This is very easy one, right? You can do it mobile, right? So I don't think it take more than 5-10 minutes. Try it yourself. Okay, so there are some fundamental readings. I will share this. Basically, I would like to go through the ISTQB. So ISTQB is the industry certification available, one of common industry certification. ISTQB is a board in the International Software Testing Qualification Board. They have multiple certifications. Foundation level certification is a must. If somebody is going to do other certifications, everybody should have foundation. So try to do the foundation. So I don't think now immediately you can do it, but once at least this sessions is over, you could be able to do this, right? So, but there are many materials, articles, books available in the ISTKP foundations. Try them, learn them, and go through those videos. I think those you can learn a lot. But at least think to come do this exam. I will support you if you anybody would like do it at least when we cover this module. That's great. This is not tough one, but it's giving a very good industry standard exam and a very strong recognition. Entire world, everywhere, people accept this certification as the key to make sure people have software testing knowledge. And this has a very global validations. If you are going to migrate or if you are going to look for higher studies, this is really valuable. Okay, that's all I have to share with you all. Sorry, I think I got few minutes long. I think since we started 10 seconds, 10 minutes late. So, but if you have anything, you can contact me anytime. So these are few. You can drop me. I can't say I can lively available and support you because I'm really busy. But you can drop me a mail, or you can go, maybe keep a message WhatsApp or either LinkedIn. You can go there and connect me, and you can keep a message, right? If you want anything, any support, so I'm happy to do. Uh, I am available, but not lively, right? So because of the workload and everything I'm working on and other many supportive activities throughout the country I'm doing, I'm really busy. But I'm happy to help students because I know that especially in state universities I will have to help. So I know the challenges we face to come to this level, to the current level in mean. So I'm happy to do that. So if you need any support, you can contact me. But I can't guarantee the live support, right? So okay. Any question? If you don't have anything, I think we can wind up the sessions today. Let me stop the recording.